Hey there, I'm really excited. We've just moved into a new unit right behind me on this quirky industrial estate right at the heart of our community. And in today's video, we want to look at how growing mushrooms can make a difference to other people's communities too.
Hi there, I want to introduce you today to Luca, who is our Community and Education Manager here at GroCycle. And she's been on a trip around the UK visiting some different mushroom growers, and she's going to tell you a bit about some of them today.
So I visited a few different mushroom farms last summer and met some really inspiring growers using mushrooms to create positive social change. Both of the projects in these videos have community at the heart of what they do. They were set up during the global COVID pandemic and the cost of living crisis here in the UK. And they've both seen something more in mushrooms than just their ability to provide nutrition. I was really excited to find out more about these wider social benefits that working with mushrooms can bring. But first, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Right, so we're just outside Margate, about 4 miles, and we're called Margate Mushrooms, and we're affiliated with the Margate Independent Food Bank. The farm came about because I, along with a colleague, John Finnegan, we started a food bank in June 2020. There's a real high level of poverty in this area. So we started the food bank, and this is how we know Georgia, because Georgia was also volunteering at the food bank. I was growing these mushrooms at home, and then my brain was just ticking over about this is something that could really be scaled up. What I'm doing in my bedroom is with this tiny little thing, that's a few quid a week for me, that's great. But is this something that we can really build on and scale up and help more than just me with this? Some of what we grow we will sell fresh, and we do have restaurants going, where's the mushrooms? Come, where's the mushrooms? They're banging our door down. So that's really helpful. Farmers markets, again, there's another opportunity to employ a person once a week, go to the farmers market, sell mushrooms. So again, that's a little employment opportunity for someone. And then the finished products that people will be making at home, we will actually buy those back, so that even though people have a little sort of mini business from home, they don't have the stress of having to sell it. So we'll buy it back and then sell it on to the swanky veg shops, which are springing up all over the place. And at the markets, of course.
Hi, I'm Sylvie. We are here in Platfield's Market Garden, which is in Platfields Park in Fallowfield, South Manchester. I'm a member of Myco Manchester, which is a workers' co-op. The co-op is me, Sylvie, SB, Rob and Jess. The space that we've got here is essentially space that was really kindly given to us by Platfield's Market Garden. They invited us to come and build the farm here. We've got 2 containers, and we've built this structure around it as well, so there's a prep space and a workshop space. We were reading lots about mushrooms. I came to it really through agroecology, and recognizing that fungi as a food could do this really cool thing of taking what is otherwise waste and rubbish and converting it into food. And there just seemed like this whole magical world of it. When we started doing this, we started growing mushrooms. We got like a marijuana tent. we grew oyster mushrooms in that tent, a few shiitake as well, and we sold them to Platfield's Market Garden here. As a result of that, that's why they invited us to come and actually work here. They said, oh, we've managed to get hold of this container that the council doesn't want anymore. Would you like to retrofit that? And we did. We kind of put a bunch of our savings together, and we put in the money to build the rest of this, because we just felt like it was a thing that needed to happen.
We often think of small-scale mushroom farms providing people in their local areas with high-quality food to purchase. But between them, these 2 farms are also providing a number of other benefits to their local communities. Some you might expect or even have experienced yourself, and others that I was surprised to hear about. The first of these is economic empowerment, both for the people the project is trying to reach and for those working on the farms.
But yeah, so the idea is that we create jobs, we create a cottage industry for people working at home. I saw a business model run by a company called Bide, particularly employ women who've come out of the prison system and who are finding it difficult to get back into work. So they employ people to make the products at home, and that's how they're bringing people back into society and back into earning money. And I was thinking, well, is this something that we can do with mushrooms? So the idea of what we're doing now is we've got the mushroom farm, which are the containers on either side of us. We've already created 2 jobs, Exhibit A and B. We've already got somebody who is devising recipes, who's a chef, and she's another person of exactly the kind of people we're trying to help, because she's had a chronic illness which keeps her indoors. She's still shielding from COVID, and she can't work. So the idea is that Shelley at home is devising all these products, and then we'll be able to encourage people who are in this area who are stuck at home, who possibly have a chronic illness or they've got childcare issues, and we can give them mushrooms that we grow here, and they can make mushroom products for us, which we then buy back and sell on to all the wealthy Londoners who've just moved here.
I did deliver, and I did meet some of these people who were homebound. So I know exactly the sort of person that Darren's talking about, and I think it's a really good way of feeding something back into the economy.
Trying to make people go and do really awful jobs is, for me, just counterproductive. You need to make nice jobs. You need to make jobs that people want to do. And I think mushrooms are so fascinating that that's a thing that people can really buy into it and get excited about it and look at the product they're making and see it on a shelf in a local shop and go, I made that.
You know, we would obviously go into it with a business plan. You go into it with the idea that we wanted to be able to pay ourselves for our time, that we wanted to be able to at least have a living wage, because we wanted the project to be sustainable, right? The reason that we chose a cooperative to do that was because it was a kind of model that we had experience in working with, and because we think that democracy in a workplace matters. You know, in reality as well, it's taken a lot of what we call sweat work as well. So it's recognizing that we might not be able to be paid for some of the work we do until we get an income later down the line. But the reason we're doing that is because we just think that this project matters. We think that it's useful, and we want to have this, we want to offer this space to people, if that makes sense.
Economic empowerment is also linked to improvements in mental health, and this was a really strong theme running through both Margate and Myco's activities.
Yeah, there's another set of people that I'd love to help, and that is, we do have quite a number of elderly gentlemen who've lost their wives, and in losing their wives they've lost the will to live. And I think this is something that, even if you've never cooked, part of what we're doing is devising incredibly simple recipes. They need to put, proper clothes on and get out of their pajamas on Monday, because I'm going to drop off some mushrooms for them, and on Thursday I'm going to pick the product up. Again, just a reason to get dressed properly for the day. There's so many, give people purpose, and that's so important, and I think that's come out of the whole lockdown thing more and more, is people just understanding the need for purpose in life, and hopefully bring people up and help create confidence.
The mental health benefits that can come from it as well, that power of observation and appreciation for the areas around you. And for me, engaging people, having those conversations, seeing people come back to every single session that we do, despite the fact it's the same session, that just gives me so much energy. It's probably important to say as well that we are all trans, and we're all either disabled or neurodivergent in some way. What's missed out a lot of the time when we talk about farming and when we talk about agriculture is the fact that the work is really hard, and so there's this kind of assumption that comes with it that people who aren't really hard can't do it, and that's just not true. When I say everybody needs this relationship with land, and why I think it's so important, is because I do think it's important for us to have that transformation in society and in where we're going, and in the food system as well, for us all to build a relationship with food growing and the other species that we find ourselves with.
Like many mushroom farms, these two are both contributing to their local food economy and aiming to increase access to local healthy food.
The fact that we're 4 miles away from Margate is amazing. This is our hyper-local food. And, we will be supplying some of the food fresh as well as the preserved items. So we can start this hyper-local food economy, because I don't know about you, but, those empty shelves in supermarkets, pretty scary. We need to be growing local food. We really, really do. And we need to be preserving it.
What we're trying to do here is kind of back on those same principles that we were doing food justice organising around. It's it's making sure that we have the ability to grow food, especially as supply chains in the food system becomes more brittle and unpredictable. And it's about building a relationship with the place that we're in and the species that are around us, and that kind of appreciation.
As well as access to food, distribution of knowledge can bring long-lasting benefits to people and communities. Sharing the experience of learning about the fascinating world of fungi is something I've really enjoyed, and it was really great to hear both of these projects talk about the social benefits of doing this.
And the more I got into it, the more I just felt that this was something that I wanted to share with people. Like every day I'd be reading the textbooks and I'd like send them out to like loads of people on my WhatsApp and friends and people I cared about. And I was like, you know, like if I can share this with people, that's something useful that I can do.
I didn't know anything about mushrooms before this, and so I did the GroCycle course mostly at home before we started at the farm. And because basically we started inoculating before our permanent fruiting room was ready, because we just wanted to get going. So we've set up Darren's old mini greenhouse in the office, tried to regulate airflow and CO2. It's been a little bit tricky. Yeah, some deformities in our mushrooms, but it has been a really fast turnaround. You learn new things each time. So yeah, it's been a baptism of fire.
We managed to get the build done kind of like summer last year. I think originally we definitely had a business plan that was a lot more based just on growing and maybe doing a little bit of courses on the side. But in that meantime, we've actually run a lot of courses. Some of those are bucket workshops, you know, growing oysters in buckets so people can take home. Some of those have been log cultivation workshops with like a friend of the co-op, John Curry, who's this amazing mycologist. We try and collaborate with people, other people as much as possible. Like really, like just getting people introduced to the science, getting people really excited about mycology, I guess, as well, and seeing, you know, like all the opportunity it has to offer in terms of citizen science and, you know, active engagement with this kind of stuff. I want as much as possible us to be able to distribute this kind of this knowledge and, you know, the knowledge to grow. My ideal would not necessarily be us selling so many mushrooms. Our ideal would almost be like a bucket in every garden, a log in every garden and a bucket in every kitchen sink, so that people have almost direct access to it. And then, you know, like this is maybe a hub that people bring those things back to. That to me feels more like a community-based success than necessarily selling loads through wholesalers.
The final theme we identified, building community, brings together everything we've spoken about so far, but also highlights some elements of working with fungi that not everyone would immediately recognise.
And I'm imagining that quite a lot of people who will be doing this might do it for 6 months. And then hopefully they've built enough confidence to go, actually, I've got an idea for my own little business that I can do. And then we can help support people into doing their own things. So I'm really hoping that this is going to have sort of waves of people coming through, and that people who've done it for a while will train the new people, and it becomes incredibly circular.
And it's about building a relationship with the place that we're in and the species that are around us, and you know, that kind of appreciation. You've got the kind of change that comes from like mycelium growing, and I know that, you know, mycelium metaphors have been a little bit overused, but it's true, you know, it's like building up a larger network over time that's able to access a lot of resources so that it's kind of ready to deal with difficult times as well, but also ready to fruit, you know, when it has the opportunity. What's been really wonderful about being at the gardens is, I think, because there are volunteers that come for other sessions, there are people who always just want to pitch in with whatever we're doing and offer to help. And also as well want to try and take some of the principles of the stuff that we're doing and apply it to the rest of the garden. So we got invited, for example, to build like a King Stropharia bed with the Kurdish women's group over on that side of the garden, which was really fun. Like, it was a really different thing, and, you know, growing mushrooms outside is a completely different ball game from growing them inside. But what was really wonderful is it just means you talk with a different set of people. You can introduce them to mycelium and they can either be really yucked out by it or get really excited. Like, the other thing that I think really appealed to me as well is that, you know, I'd grown up thinking that mushrooms are weird and a little bit evil. I guess I saw a little bit of LGBT people in fungi, you know what I mean? It's like people that are considered like weird and a bit dangerous, but actually are, you know, are really important and need to be a part of a community and need to be a part of an ecology and have a place. And I think having sort of felt for so long that I'm not, you know, that I wasn't wanted or that we didn't have a place, seeing other organisms that were able to like find a niche and find their place and find an ecology, it's hard not to like feel a sense of like relationship to that and, you know, an appreciation of that. So that's something for me that was like a really powerful motivator. And I think what's really interesting as well is it's not just my experience. I think a lot of LGBTQ people that come to our workshops, that get involved with us, that are doing their own kind of thing as well, they feel that sense as well. And I think that is, I think it's a source of strength, and I think as well it's a source of inspiration in terms of like our values and what we choose to do and the kind of future that we want to build as well.
Wow, well, I just thought it was so interesting learning about all the different ways that mushrooms are inspiring people. And it really just goes to show how diverse the benefits of working with mushrooms are. Of course, these are just two different examples, and there are loads of ways that you can integrate community into your mushroom farm or business, as well as bringing mushrooms into a farm that already works with diverse groups. Joining a mushroom community could be as simple as just going to a workshop or even going on a fungi ID walk, or you could join an online course like the one we run. I've really enjoyed finding out more about the social benefits of mushroom farming, and I hope you have too. And if you know about any other community mushroom farms, please let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.